Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning back into Let's Play Chroma Squad. I'm your host, the Ronin of Dreams, and on today's episode, we're tackling the last of the mid-season episodes for Season 1, and getting the result of our big Dr. Soap ultimatum email, which we did vote on in the thread. Now, the vote was close, with just barely edging out to let him direct one episode, and then the follow-up was take him to court. And you'll see how both of those actually come into play today. That said, we need to get to that email, and you'll notice that things are a little quieter than normal. I actually had multiple takes for this, but I wanted to make sure I used this particular take for the email. Why? Well, Steam achievements only show up once, and here's proof of the pudding. This is the first time I've done this. This is definitely one of the more amusing things that the game has thrown at us. Not only is it forcing us to have a decision elsewhere, but in this particular case, it's showing that, well, this is kind of a game that we need to play. So, I used that second popular vote of taking him to court to determine what we did. Now, as I said, because I had a couple of different recordings to get this working out, I did a lot of things off camera with the final cut. Now, mostly what I did was I went ahead and got suits for everybody, putting Talo in a padded suit and giving Wangtron one of our attack crafted suits. But I also did a few studio things. We're currently a Super Robot Wars inspired squad, which will last for this episode and maybe the next. And I wanted to show off the marketing mechanic. Now, I'll explain a lot about marketing during the episode proper, but here you see that you have fan power that you can spend on more options than just what the agency gives you by hiring them by default. Now, Mad Folks gives us plus 15% audience per episode, and we could boost that by another 10% for 100 fan power. Or we can go with income conversion rate, which is what I'm going to determine with. But there was also episode starting value audience from both the random choice and the magazine article. Now, if I chose those, that would mean I'd have less audience I'd have to gain each episode, and, depending on how much I had, would let me initially transform at the very start of an episode. In the episode we're recording, we actually get a forewarning that we have a guest cameo, and that will show up later, because there are a couple of cameo character effects that are relevant to this episode. Meanwhile, we have our new scenario, namely, Shiny Beaver needs a dentist appointment. I guess those buck teeth require quite a lot of cleaning to keep white. So, it makes sense that we have a 2-segment episode. In fact, that's what we have based off of that review earlier. And, thankfully, this episode continues that little campy, homegrown sense of initial season woes. Another actor who doesn't exactly listen to what we're doing. Fat Alien is actually quite nice in a sense, because we do get an alien character for our actor roster. And they are both similar types of alien. There's something to be said for keeping things consistent, I suppose. In any case, the initial setup for this particular episode isn't exactly too difficult. A team attack with 3 squad members is very, very easy to do, and the only quote-unquote difficult part is killing bread crumblers. Now, I'll be honest, some of the other recordings I did for this particular episode wound up throwing some wrenches in the works, because dodges were just happening all over the place despite low chances for dodge from many of these different characters. In fact, it touches on something I'm going to talk about when we get to the boss, because it's of using a specific skill that I haven't explained in depth. Now, you notice our marker for this episode was about 275 audience. If I had used the 300 starting audience option from marketing, that means I could have transformed immediately. But transformation does have some mechanics that I like, so I usually don't want to transform immediately in my playthroughs. Your mileage may vary, but I like how everything is stacking up here. So, before I switch over to marketing, I'm actually setting up here a very specific transformation sequence. Now, I've said how when transforming, you move to the person who initiates it. But there's also a mechanic regarding your enemy placement. Enemies will move out of the way, as if they're moving away from the shot when you transform. So it's very important that you sometimes need to manipulate things like I did here in order to get your enemies to stay put. And I do this to set up a multi-shot that hits a lot of targets and is glorious. I also have a double attack here that may not have been necessary, but it was kind of fun. Alright, while I clean up the rest of these mooks on camera, I do want to talk a bit about marketing in depth. Every agency has its primary perk. In this case, plus 15% audience per episode comes with Mad Folks. And as you can probably tell, most of those marketing agencies have some form of call-out reference. It's fitting, and I do enjoy it. That said, each marketing agency also has 3 guaranteed aspects, and when you shop around for agencies, you'll be able to see all 3 of those default ones up front. They're not hidden. The only aspect about marketing that's hidden until you hire an agency is that random 4th option. Now, all those options will require fan power, and as you go for further seasons, you unlock newer marketing opportunities that require more fan power to enable all their options, and it just seems to progress steadily from there. Here's the multi-shot I said I was going to set up, and man, do I like it. Pistols are very satisfying for the multi-shot, and even though I believe they changed it so that rifles could use multi-shot, it just looks so good with shooting the pistols off like that I'm probably going to keep that to pistols only. But marketing gives you different ways of getting in-character boosts, but it also affects your studio level management because of income conversion rate and fan conversion rate. Now there are baseline values for both of those, 25 per 100 for income conversion rate and 3 per 100 for fan conversion rate. Now that's literally at the end of the episode, that audience bar plus any percentage bonuses gets taken down, and you get literally per 100 a flat rate for each. So by doing income conversion rate like I did, I went and upped my income that I'll get from this episode decently amount. Now we see in character that originally they were going to stop the episode after Shiny left, but hey, there's a neat idea. Let's make it a bit of a kidnapping. Now I like what they do here because it shows that there's more to the episodes than what we record as players, but they keep dialogue and, well, uninteresting portions of the episode creation off camera from our standpoint. And it's quite nice. But we also have our cameo. In this case, we have Galax Silver of the Galax Rangers. Every cameo tends to have some good bit of flavor, whether or not they wind up retransforming. But we see here that this was totally unexpected by the crew. And in most cases, there's good reasons for that. Now, Galax Silver actually has some good lines. I can't say that for all of them, but I like that he has lines and he does transform to match the rest of the party. But his costume is obviously a higher level production costume. Galax Silver is strong, he's a mountain of HP for this point in the game, and here's the fun part. Notice that the hit boss every turn is already done for turn 1, without actually attacking. Notice also that I use Stunning Pose, and this is what I wanted to talk about, because I was wrong on 2 things for skills. One, I found out that, yes, weapon attack skills can be dodged. Sad day. The second important thing, though, is Stunning Pose inflicts statuses that I don't think are properly implemented. Now, I coached that in hesitance for a reason, because the daze and stun mechanics are fairly simple in design. A stun prevents the enemy from taking any action and drops both their dodge and counter to 0. Dazing a boss does the same thing to their dodge and counter rates, supposedly, but it doesn't prevent them from taking actions. They're bosses, they're more resilient, go figure. Here's the problem. On 3 separate attempts at recording this episode, I led with Wangtron doing that same setup. Stunning 3 people so that I could ignore the Nutcracker and hopefully deal with the bread crumbler, and then pound on the boss. Every time, prior to this recording, the boss still dodged Wangtron. In fact, Fat Alien proved to be a break dancer in training because he kept dodging a lot of shots and attacks throughout the entirety of every recording but this one. And I kind of feel bad that those recordings got mauled. Some sort of issue with Fraps, which I used to record. But I still got a good one for the finale here, and this will work out nicely. Now there's an important aspect about cameo characters. They can activate in any teamwork attack except a finisher, which is disappointing. And I will even set up on Fat Alien the scenario for a finisher. In fact, I do a weapon finisher. But cameo characters cannot actually contribute to those, and it's sad because it would be so awesome if you could. But at least with the weapon finisher, it makes a lot more sense that way. I don't know. I feel conflicted about it because it could have been better, but it's not, and I don't get to show off the weapon finisher this episode. But I do intend to show it off in the finale. That said, it's cleanup work, and there's not too much more to say about marketing, save for that as you get on into later marketing agency options, you're going to find yourself switching, instead of doing 3 episodes per contract, you're going to probably cut down to 1 episode per contract, which spends more money, but later in the game, money is a lot more fluid, a lot less of a concern, and you may be fishing for certain bonuses instead. Now, he shows up that arm saying he's part of the teamwork attack, but as you can see, no teamwork attack. Well, in all, the episode was light, and as a 2-parter, it flows nicely into what most episodes are. That is, 2-part episodes. Now, the 2 parts aren't exactly a minion fight and then a boss fight, but we'll see where that little theme goes when we get into Season 2 proper. We also get a little bit more dialogue about the background of the Galax Rangers, who are another Super Sentai team that exists in universe of Chroma Squad, which, as we get into future episodes, gets a little bit more interesting than that. Now, we got a fairly decent payout, and we got a Tier 2 tape and Silver tape, which is nice. Duct tape goes down in relevance pretty fast, but we also got a good bit more income. Now, it's not just because we got more audience, but because we increased our audience conversion rate for income. Now, that's pretty much it for today's episode. Next episode is going to be the finale, and that's going to be pretty large. But until we get then, I thank you for tuning in, and hope to see you back for the Season 1 finale. As far as the thread goes, we're going to change over to voting for the final squad soon, so keep that in mind for that too. But in the meantime, take care out there, and stay frosty, folks.
So be